Hello, you guys. I'm Carlos. I'm not here today with my PIC, my partner in crime, Levi, because he is under the weather, but hopefully that he can get better soon. So peace to you, Levi. But I'm here today with certified young people
Certified young person.
that has a target audience. That anyway, that we are trying to do this holy chat for you guys. So today I invited my friends. I hope that it's okay to say my friends.
Awkward.
Yes.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, thank you,
Friends.
thank you. Rebecca and Chloe, Chloe and Rebecca, yes. So Rebecca and Chloe, they will introduce themselves. So anyway, just thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to be in a Holy Chat. So would you like to introduce yourself to the wonderful people of Holy Chat, the wonderful and thousands of people that see this podcast?
Mm. Hi, I'm Rebecca, and I'm the middle school director at McFarland UMC, and I've been a almost lifelong United Methodist, so it's a good time. Yay, that's me.
I'm Chloe Young. I am the high school and college director at McFarland, and I've not been a lifelong Methodist, but a Methodist for most half of my life, so basically the whole thing. Yeah. Happy
Yeah.
to be here.
Yay! Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you. So again, we're trying to do these podcasts again. Just the main thrust of Holy Chat is the idea is to those who maybe are looking for something, and maybe they are still maybe even people that are not looking, but maybe introduce them to Jesus Christ and say maybe we like to use the word invite them to fall in love with Jesus Christ, kind of thing. And again, but they are not necessarily going to a particular religious institution, kind of thing. So with that in mind, as a certified young person,
Certified young person.
who wants to answer first? It doesn't matter. Why is your faith important?
Hmm. I think faith is important to me because it gives me a greater purpose in life,
Purpose in life.
and it kind of drives like who I am and what I do. And so I think that's really important for me to stay faithful and to continue to grow and nurture my faith, is so I can be a part of something bigger and greater than just me.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would echo a lot of that too. As I feel like I would have very lack of direction without any kind of faith life, and I would be much more confused about what am I doing with my life. Whereas I think my faith has led me to a lot of things, like working in a church, and has led me to lots of wonderful friendships. So my faith has been very important to me due to the relational aspect with my community and a relationship with God, of course. So
Relationships.
I think that's why my faith has remained very important, because it's just been intertwined with most everything that I've done in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So
Relationships, purpose.
mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there you go. I mean, I was seeing a survey or particularly about this topic of spiritual but not religious, and they were saying something. It was very interesting that how people, young people particularly, your age and younger, um, are so invested, saying Jesus and the teachings of Jesus, teachings of Christianity, um, uh, the Bible even. But then you go like church and they're like nah, and then you go like leaders or church leaders and now we don't want, and then you go there from there other Christian expressions and things. So it was very interesting to know. So with that in mind, like that these um, distrust with organizations and leadership, why you guys are still in why still we're still keeping around yourselves around here.
I think for me, like I grew up going to church, and it's where I like had all my friends, and there were also like adults who, when I was a child and a youth, like nurtured me in my faith and cared about me. And outside of my family, I was like, oh, these people really love and care about me, and that felt really special. And that's why I wanted to kind of continue to do that through the rest of my life, and why I wanted to go into youth ministry, so I could cultivate a culture for young people to have those people in their life that maybe were outside of their family or their school, that they knew like, oh, these people care about me and want to push me to be a better person. So that's why I've continued to be a part of that and want to continue that for other people.
Yes, mine's also very similar to where, yeah, I was very fortunate to have that kind of care and community growing up in a church that was, very good at taking care of young people. But I think going to college was very much a time where my eyes were open to like this is not an experience that everybody has. That the church
Yeah.
has hurt a lot of people,
Mhm.
and like I had never like understood that before because all of my experiences were very positive. But it was also a time where I was like learning a lot more just about Christianity in general and religion, and it could have been a time that I think would have make or break my faith. But luckily, also the environment I was in at college was a very like welcoming area to allow kind of those questions to happen instead of I think I existed much more of a black and white type of faith understanding before that. And like I said, college could have been a time where I completely abandoned that type of thing. So it was like a very like overload shock of I can't believe these are experiences that people have had at church before. Like, why would I want to be a part of something like that? But I had a lot of really good older adults who kind of helped me understand the gray areas of church and how people are definitely imperfect, but it doesn't mean we should completely throw away the idea of being in community in a church space. And so now a big part of why I want to continue being a part of a church is to help give youth that kind of framework so that if they go into something like that where they have this big like, oh my gosh, why do I even want to be a part of something like this? They can have kind of that, like I said, framework to fall back on to be like, wait a second, it's not all black and white. There's gray area, there's grace. So that's kind of been something driving me to stay involved even when things are frustrating or disappointing in like church structures and things like that is I can be someone that can kind of help people work through this and see that there are really good things that come out of this, even though it can be really frustrating sometimes. So
Yeah, the bureaucracy is it's always fun, right?
always.
Sure.
fun.
Always.
Everybody loves that part.
Yes. Church bureaucracy.
Church bureaucracy.
Yes. Love it. All right, so I know that one of the things for young people, again, in the studies and just empirically that I've been asking and just knowing, it is how hard it is because of these experiences that you were saying that not everybody grew up in the church. There's a lot of hurt that we have done, unfortunately, bureaucracy, and other things. Um, so one of the hard things is to keep your faith alive, or to have that. Um, I would describe it almost like a heartbeat, right? The faith is like a heartbeat, and at times you go really flat because there is no stimulus around, or just life comes fast, and work and the routine of things just get in the way. So how do you keep your faith going? How do you make that heartbeat healthy, if you will?
Well, I think you said the routine, I think, is a huge part of it. Is that I think being involved in a church is keeping me accountable to actually like spend time thinking about my religion and beliefs and stuff. Whereas I think if I wasn't as involved, it'd be much easier to be like, well, I've got to do this stuff over the weekend. Sunday could be for this, blah, blah, blah. So just the built in routine of people, are expecting to see me. They want to see me. They're excited to have me at church. Keeps me going. And then because I keep going, it's much easier to keep the heartbeat at a more consistent rate than just being like, well, I'll just, go when I have time, when I feel like it. Because the reality is we don't have time. But the routine makes you keep it in your timetable. So at least for me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think definitely the same. I think also like finding ways that work for me as well. Like, so Elizabeth Horton Ware,
Shout out.
who's our college minister, she told me about the Dwell app, which like is kind of like a meditation kind of thing, but it reads scripture for you and has lovely music behind it. And so doing things like that like I'm very busy and doing all these things all the time, so I don't necessarily have time to like sit down and read the Bible, but finding those moments in my car or getting ready that I can listen to scripture. And yeah, definitely being a part of a church community that drives me to be like, oh yes, while I'm teaching youth or young adults, I should be nurturing my own faith as well, because if I'm not doing that for me, then I can't do it for them. So yeah, having that accountability is great.
Community. So again, so that word, is that a thing? Huh. All right. So not pitching any particular denomination, any particular church, any particular affiliation. What would be your word to people who like Jesus that maybe even read the Bible here and there. But they, as I said, they see the church and they go, ah!
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your word to them as to how can they keep developing their faith and developing their understanding in God and getting closer to Jesus as well?
I think something I hear a lot of people our age talk about is wanting a better sense of community, especially post grad. I feel like college is a time where you have a lot of built in, easy community. And then once you graduate and go to something else, or maybe you go straight from high school to doing stuff, you lose that immediate sense of community as well. Where you have to be so much more intentional about seeking out having friends and keeping in touch with people because it's not as easy anymore
Right.
where you have, like I said, the built in stuff. And so definitely I think sometimes we can think about faith as a little too individualized. Of course, it's so special between you and God. It's different for you than it is for everyone else. But also, there's a huge communal aspect to faith, I think, sometimes gets lost in our individual natures that we kind of have these days. So I think giving, you know, church a shot, even if you're a little distressful, could unlock kind of this community that you've been craving and just wanting to make friends or just get to know people that might have similar thoughts and values to you. Maybe you won't be best friends, but it could be just something that keeps you going and maybe leads to, who knows, maybe a bestie or just
Sure.
an accountability friend.
Yeah.
But I definitely think just community is big, and we see that if the Bible too. If you're big on the Bible but not big on church, the Bible right there too says, you know, community is a really big deal. A part of being a believer is having that community to keep you going.
Yeah.
It's hard on your own.
It is.
Yeah, I think finding some sort of place to like serve
That's a good
the community,
Yeah.
going along with the community. I know we're not talking about anything specific, but I think like being at McFarland, there's a lot of places where there's a lot of people in the community that maybe necessarily aren't super involved in the life of the church, but they're involved in our food pantry and serving there faithfully every single week. And so I think finding those little things, because I think there's places in any denomination or whatever it may be, where you can find ways to serve your community and live out your faith in a practical way. And then I think that kind of gets you in the door of a little community there. And so I think that's really can be meaningful for young people trying to look for a way to kind of grow in their faith, but not ready to fully step into the church yet.
I think that's a great first step, finding a way to serve feels much less intimidating than, I don't know, just showing up somewhere for a random meeting. You're not sure what's happening.
I agree. So coming back to the food pantry, we were there as a family for what we did Thanksgiving, and there were a couple of young people that I haven't never met before. And then they introduced themselves to us, and we say hello, kind of thing. And then I was in the back, kind of taking all the groceries that they got to their vehicles. But Wendy, my wife, she's a minister,
Shout out!
and she was talking with this young person, and this young person said, "Well, so what are you doing at church?" I said, "I'm a pastor," and then they started having a conversation about it because she liked to volunteer, but she was not involved whatsoever in the life of the church whatsoever. But it was a good, I guess, as you said, first step. It is.
Yeah.
Well, all right. So, anything else that you would like to say to the good horde of holy chatters about faith, about community? I don't know, whatever.
Community is the word of the day!
If nothing, that's okay. We can just say,
that was easy.
and cut it.
That works too.
All righty. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here today.
Having us.
And I'll see you next time.
Thank you.